We're talking about Nestle. The company is been in the news for a whole host of reasons, including its quarterly results, the annual results that the company has reported, the outlook on growth, inflation, but more so for the recent news piece that has come by with regards to the presence of added sugar in its infant nutrition business as well. So we have with us the man who's known to take Nestle out of any sort of crisis and grow it through all of that, be it the Maggie crisis, be it the pandemic, or now that we're talking about. Suresh Narayanan, the MD of the company, joins in for a chat on CNBC TV18. Thanks a lot, Mr. Narayanan, for joining in. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Let's get some of the important questions out of the way before we speak about the growth path for Nestle going ahead as well. The first one, with regards to the food regulation and the food regulators, has there been any communication with the FSSAI when it comes to them, testing some of your infant nutrition products?
Look, I think there has been no formal communication, but I think we enjoy a very professional and a very cordial relationship with FSSAI. They have indicated to us that they would like to pick samples of some of our products. Indeed, this is being picked up across manufacturers. So we wish to clarify that this is not just Nestle. There are different manufacturers. Their products will be picked up for analysis, whatever analysis that FSSAI chooses to do, and we respect that. And incidentally, infant formula, there is no question of any, there is no added sugar there at all. So therefore, the brand that comes into context is baby food, which is Cerelac. And I think one of the other things that to the best of our knowledge, and being a nutrition company, we should know it, is that there is no test for added sugar. Total sugars, there is a test, but added sugar, there is really no test. So it will depend on how the FSSAI would wish to evolve and wish to take this forward. But we are transparent, we are open. There is no question of any kind of obfuscation. Whatever they need to see, we will show them. Whatever they need to know, we will get to their knowledge. Because we have really nothing to hide as far as this unfortunate incident is concerned.
Absolutely, we take that point. But this incident came to light because of Public Eye's report. And the thesis of that report was the divergence in the presence of sugar across countries. So for instance, UK and Germany had zero sugar. Some countries had more than India. India was somewhere in the middle. So why exactly has there been this divergence? What explains this between two geographies?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, Mangalam, and I would indulge your time a bit because you know that I like to answer questions fully and not just give a tentative answer. Every formulation has got a nutrition profile. And this is globally determined, Mangalam. This is not something that I can decide in India, that this is what I want to do. This is globally determined. Fundamentally, it gives you the level of protein, the level of fat, the level of vitamin and minerals, and the level of carbohydrates that each serve of the product should contain for children below 18 months. Now, remember that this is a growing category where they need energy-dense foods. Now, typically, proteins, infants need between 10 and 15% of total energy from proteins. Now, proteins in our recipe of Cerelac is about 15%, which gives 15% of the total energy. If you look at fats, infants need between 20 and 30% of total energy coming from fats. Cerelac has 9.4% of fat, which translates into 20% of total energy. Vitamins and minerals, we add 10 vitamins and 4 minerals, which are essential for the growth of the infant. Carbohydrates, infants need between 50 and 70% of total energy from carbohydrates. Nestle Cerelac provides 68%. Talking of carbohydrates, carbohydrates come from sugars. And sugars are of two kinds, total sugars, and in total sugars, there is a subcomponent of added sugars. Naturally occurring sugars come from milk, from cereal. So, for example, lactose, glucose, fructose from fruit purees and fruit juices. And there is an added component of sugar called added sugar. In the case of India, the FSSAI rules, which also follows global standards, indicates that you can add sucrose if it meets up to 20% of the requirement of carbohydrates, which translates on a per feed basis to 13.6 grams per 100 grams of feed. Against that, Nestle has got 7.1, which is fundamentally about 50% of the amount of added sugar. Now, this added sugar, we have reduced it by 30% over the last 5 years. 2 more points. Point number 2, there are products in Europe and products in Asia which have both no added sugar and added sugar. The efficacy of the recipe based on local regulatory conditions and based on local habits determines the quantum of sugar that the product contains. The ultimate goal is that the nutrition profile that is meant to be served, which is what I talked to you about, carbohydrates 50 to 70%, proteins and fats, fats 20 to 30%, and proteins 10 to 15%, is what needs to be met.
I understand.
That is the basis for whatever is being done.
Right. So, in light of that, you said that you are within the norms that are locally prescribed in each of the geographies that you, operate in. But if the globally accepted norm is that no sugar is the best, then why would you not have that as a policy across the globe as against looking at just local offerings that you're giving?
Look, in Europe, if there are no added sugar products and added sugar products, there must be a reason for it. So it can't be that it is only unidimensional, that only our products should have added sugar. I think added sugar comes from 2 things. One is the nutritional efficacy of the product, and some of it also comes from texturization of the product. For example, we add fruit bits, right? Cereal fruit bits. Cereal fruit bits are meant to give texture to the feed because the child needs motor capabilities as well to chew on the feed and to be able to eat that different kind of textures over a period of time. That brings in a little bit of sugar in it. And in India, we declare it transparently. So therefore, in the component, and again, the attempt that is being made over a period of time is to reduce the added sugar. We've already reduced it by 30%. Efforts are on to reduce it even further.
But you already have an offering which is zero sugar, right? And it is from your own company's stable. So instead of reducing it gradually, you just get that product into India. Is that a possibility? I mean, I'm sure there is knowledge sharing.
It is not as simple as that. No product is simply transferred from one geography to the other. There are local considerations as well, accepted practices as well. And I think we can have a greater discussion on this. But at this stage, what we believe in is that efficacious nutrition is provided globally. Globally, we don't make a distinction between added sugar and no added sugar. And number 3, the standards that are followed for added sugar in our country is completely, totally, fully compliant with the laws of the land. Now, if the FSSAI decides to change it over a period of time or do whatever they want to, they have the authority and we are obliged to follow. So that is something that is very clear. As I speak to you, there are ongoing recipes which are already being tested, which have got lower levels of added sugar. The goal that I have as a company is to reach zero added sugar for India as well.
All right. So, you said they're compliant with the laws of the land. There are laws of the land and there are laws of the company which are global. So one would have assumed that, you would choose the one which is more stringent. But be that as it may, infant food aside, even Kit Kat has different compositions for different geographies. What explains that? I mean, that's not infant food, but that's chocolate that all of us consume.
Every recipe, I mean the samosa in the north and the samosa in the south is different. Every food product doesn't have to have the same ingredients to give the same benefit. In the case of Kit Kat, the fact of the matter is that the level of cocoa, because of the level of product that is being provided, the recipes are catered to the local requirements of taste. So if the Indian palate has got a particular taste, it's a little bit like Maggi noodles. The Maggi noodles that is made in India, the Maggi noodles that's made in Malaysia, are in terms of calibration the same, but in terms of taste deliveries are different. It's the same that applies to Kit Kat as well, and it is also at particular price points. So therefore, for both the reasons of efficacy and of local taste preferences, products are designed. And remember, the policy of the organization is to try and cater products as much to the local palate as possible. Because I don't want to produce a product that is not meant for the local palate and come here and hope people to buy it. That's as simple as that.
All right. Just to further your samosa point, the samosa in the north is different from the samosa in the south. But if both of them come from the same brand, one will assume that irrespective of which part of the country it's available, it would taste standard. But
the Maggi from Malaysia and the Maggi from India is different.
All right, I take that point. But just for bookkeeping, how much does Cerelac generally account for in your overall revenue?
Well, Cerelac is part of the milks and nutrition business, which is 40% of the total company.
Yeah, so which is what I wanted to know, a sub-categorization, if you could give some more clarity to the street for them to understand the overall impact. But would you give us a sense, a broad number?
Well, it will be less than 50% of that.
Okay, less than 50% of that. So overall, less than 20% of your overall revenue. All right, Mr. Narayanan, just hold on to that thought. We'll take a short break, come back, continue our conversation. Welcome back. You're watching us here on this special newsmaker conversation with the MD CEO of Nestle India, Suresh Narayanan. The numbers that came by, they were better than what the street was anticipating on a high base in a time when demand is actually slowing down. You guys went ahead and did better than the industry, 9% revenue growth. But going forward, you are looking at a high base. Prices are, you've historically done 7 to 8% volume growth with about 2 to 3% price growth. What can we expect over the next couple of years in terms of demand? If you could, speak about the near term, midterm.
Look, I think the results for the quarter with a 9% sales growth brings with it about 4 to 5% volume growth. So it is lower than the previous average that we had of 7 to 8% growth, but we are coming back in terms of volume growth. I think the focus is really to try and see how we can build back the volume growth as we move forward. The strategies in place in terms of both the category brand level and the geographic penetration are catering towards that. Now, there are near-term headwinds of food inflation. I think coffee and cocoa are two clear examples. One hopes that the milk and the wheat prices remain relatively stable so that we are able to keep stability of the value delivery in order to continue the path of growth. So that's where we are. And as you know, the strategy is to sustain penetration-led volume growth. Therefore, there is a focus on generating the relevant volumes as well.
There are concerns with regards to the margins going forward, largely because of the issues that you spoke about, higher coffee prices, higher cocoa prices. Is the best of gross margins behind the company for the near term, given the inflationary issues that we're seeing? Can we say that?
Look, I think Mangalam, the way I always suggested investors to look at Nestle India is to look at us in a band of growth, which is 10 to 11%, and a band of operating margins between 20 and 22%. I think the environment around us is too volatile for us to have definitive predictions on where we will land each quarter. Some quarters will be a little bit longer, some quarters will be a little bit shorter. But on average, if you measure the operating margin of the company, it will be between the 20 and 22% levels. And going forward, the reason why this becomes more important is even though my entry into pet care, into Nespresso, and into health sciences with a joint venture with Dr. Reddy's are margin accretive, but they will need to be fueled and funded, which means that some of what the core category makes would need to be skinned off and put into the new categories in order to sustain growth. So therefore, I think the ban concept is a much better concept, looking at a company which is not only growing in core categories, but adding new categories which need investment. It makes much more sense to look at it that way than pegging absolute margin deliveries each quarter.
All right. In light of this, would there be any reconsideration for the increase in royalty? I mean, the street would have liked it to happen at a time when the margins were a little more benign, or the input environment was a little more benign, and that could allow to increase in the margins. Would that be a thought, or this is just ludicrous?
So what we would say that the ask is fundamentally 15 basis points each year for 5 years. And certainly the margin evolution of the new categories that we are adding and what we are capable of doing in our existing categories is more than that. So therefore, it is for the help and support. I mean, for example, in health sciences, we need support now. It's not going to be a unidimensional street of just a joint venture. There will be support from the group on that. Nespresso will be a strong support from the group in order to make it happen. Pet care will be a strong support from the group to make it happen. So all of this will come in with the heft of the parent in terms of technology and competence and infrastructure. And for that, I think the royalty increase that is being looked at is relatively modest.
All right, so that explains one of the concerns of the street. On the JV that you had on nutraceuticals with Dr. Reddy's, just wanted to understand what is the revenue potential of this business by when? You said it would be margin accretive. If you could give us a sense of the scalability here.
I mean, this business should at least be, in combined terms, 1,500 crore business in the next couple of years. So that's the expectation that we have got. I think Dr. Reddy's brings the channel heft, I think a great deal of experience, expertise and wisdom in the pharma space, some very strong brands as well. Nestle has also got a strong roster of brands and competence in consumer-led marketing, which is something that Dr. Reddy's would also find useful for itself. So it's a kind of a marriage made between two cultural and two performance equals, which really we look forward to.
What would be the growth rate after this 1,000 to 1,500 crores that you would once get in a couple of years? And when you say it's margin accretive, what band would the margin be here?
Well, it's I think these are early days. Let's see how the business evolves, but it will be accretive to the core business of the company.
Nespresso, I'm excited about this. I mean, a lot of Indians are very excited about this. The ones who've tried the product swear by its quality. So 2 questions here. What's the pricing of Nespresso likely to be in India versus the globe? Will there be any compromises on quality as compared to what they've experienced in the globe? And what could be the potential revenue from a business like this?
Look, I think again, revenue, the first couple of years, I would say at least the first 5 years will be a lot of seeding activity. So it will not be revenue that will be significant to move the needle as far as the company is concerned. There is no question of any compromise on quality. We don't do it. And there is no question of any compromise on the premium most coffee that we have got. The imports will be from Switzerland. Switzerland is the main source for Nespresso capsules. And the machines as well will come from Switzerland. The pricing will be competitive. I don't think there is any need for us to look beyond our nose to see that there are capsules coming in from Dubai, coming in from Singapore, coming in from the organized trade and from the grey market as well. So I think we are in business to be in business, and appropriate pricing will be worked through. And I think since we are interested in the long-term evolution of premium coffees, I think the company also has the wherewithal to invest in this for an extended period of time.
Right. Mr. Narayanan, final question to you then. When you joined Nestle India as its leader, you were in the midst of a crisis. From there, you reached the milestone of 10,000 crores on an annual basis when it came to numbers. Almost 10 years later, you are staring at nearly 20,000 crores in terms of annual revenues, and also a semi-crisis, if you one can call it. So, the concern then is Mr. Narayanan going to extend his stay beyond July 2025, or is it time for you to go to the teaching thing that you keep speaking about every time?
Mangalam, let's not let's cross the bridge when we come to it. I mean, as of now, I'm very much the chairman and managing director of this company. Yes, I am battle scarred. I think I've had the I don't know whether the experience or the privilege or whatever you call it of going through different crises, from the Maggie crisis to all the ones in interim, including COVID. I think what I'm most heartened by is the trust and confidence that I've received from everyone across the environment, including your listeners. I myself have always believed in being upfront as a leader. I have to take the bullets when they happen. So therefore, I am talking to you today, and I'm not waiting for something else to reach out to me to do it. I put things as well as I can understand, as simply and as cogently and as transparently and as sincerely as I can. And I believe that respect, dignity, and trust comes over a period of time. And I've spent enough time in the trenches to ask you for 5% of that. Thank you.
Well, you call yourself battle scarred. I would say you're battle toughened. Thank you so much for taking all our questions. Wish you good luck for your tenure now, and if at all, beyond July 2025 as well. And keep speaking to us and keep taking our questions head on as problems come by. We hope that not a lot of problems come by. Thank you. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Mangalam. Great speaking to you. Thank you.